You already know what we came here for. War. I can smell the hate when we stepped in the door. War.
You ain't never seen a grind till I grind like this. Was fine wine to the refiners, to the savage like piss. I seen a lot of niggas fail, either dead or in jail. That came from where I came from, getting my mail. That hard rock from the block done turned into a mountain. Got an ocean out a fountain, and a nigga still counting. We love the hate and the gossip. You a witness, bitch, please Instagram it. International business trips. I got a head full of schemes and a heart full of hunger, with a backpack full of dreams, and I'm only getting younger, no rush. Everything gotta be right, so we patient. So all the bullshit we go through serve as motivation.
You already know what we came here for. War. I can smell the hate when we stepped in the
Cancer
door.
raises up. We got to have that sunlight. Anytime, anybody ever had a turtle or a snake or a reptile? Right. When you bought it, they made you buy UVB light bulbs for it, right? Exactly, because it comes from the equator. But they don't tell you to do that. You need UVB light bulbs. I got UVB light bulbs. Not all natural light bulbs and full spectrum light bulbs, no. UVB light bulbs. They're expensive, but they last for like 5-6 years, so you make your money back. I got mine for like $60 a piece. But I had them working for about 3-4 years yet. I haven't bought a new light bulb yet. All right? So, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. This guy right here, all right? Because we know these guys, right? The X-Men. A lot of us are not familiar with this gentleman, Stan Lee. All right? This is his pose here. If you don't notice, he's giving us the finger. The X-Men were created by Stan Lee after he left the military as an ex-military trainer. And what he did in the military was he created cartoons and films to entrain the soldiers to become numb to killing, etc., etc. To entrance the soldiers by what they were watching. So then he got out of the military with that information and started to entrance our children and us, depending on how old we are. All right? But they were based on the X gene that the X-Men gave them some extra powers, and this is all coming out of the 1940s. In 1940, they started microbiology. All right? So as soon as they started microbiology, 3-4 years later, my man comes out, releases the X-Men, and talks about the whole movie is driven to how to stop these quote-unquote people on the planet that have extra ability. All right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about tyrosine. It's important to talk about tyrosine. All right? Europeans do not have natural tyrosine production in their body. All right? Tyrosine is the amino acid that's the precursor to melanin production in your body. All right? So where that's found on the body is the 11th chromosome right here. All right? That's your TYR gene. Europeans have a TYR gene that does not work. It does not work at all. It doesn't work. All right? It does not work. You can tell how well yours is working by how dark you are. All right? So mine is working really well. Now, this is where their obsession with cheese comes in. All right? Now, cheese is rotten milk. So you should never eat cheese and think you're going to be healthy. This is what's going on inside your cheese. It's nothing but fungus and bacteria in cheese. It's rotten milk. All right? But inside of casein, they found tyrosine. So since they can't produce tyrosine, they're loaded up on cheese as a delicatessen. A delicacy. Where's Sandy at? Oh, a delicacy, because they can't get the internal production. And that's important to us to get that. All right? Because tyrosine does a lot of different things in the body, and it's featured in a couple of places, and we'll get to it. All right? All right. So we know number 11 for us that's into numerology is the master builder's number. All right? And now you know the reason why. Because that is where the chromosome that houses the gene for melanin and melanocyte production throughout the body is. All right? So this is just a more close-up look. I'm going to skip some of the sciencey stuff so we can try to get through all the slides. All right? This right here shows, and I'll have on the DVD in the documentary, I'll have this and I'll have the complete breakdown, but it shows how when your TYR gene barely works, doesn't work, works well, how that combinates into your eye, skin, and your hair color. All right? Phytic acid.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people are recently asking me a lot of questions about phytic acid. All right? Because people are saying now that you need to skin all the color off of your fruit. All right? You got to take the pigment off your fruit. All right? So, in my mind, this can only come from a European. That's who started the whole skinning folks thing in the first place. They wanted your skin. They used to eat it. The whole entire allopathic medicine. You gotta just look it up. All right. There's a book by a guy named Richard Sugg. It's a textbook they use in medical school to study medical history. All right. It's called Vampires, Cannibals, and Mummies. You write it down, by Richard Sugg. The soft paperback is $63. The textbook is about $200. College price. They use it in school. All right. It details Western medicine for the last 1,500 years. All right.
Vampires, cannibals, and mummies.
Vampires, cannibals, and mummies. You can look it up on your smartphones if y'all like. All right. And it details the last 1,500 years of allopathic medicine. All right. And it talks about how they took the skin of black folks and used it in all kinds of crazy stuff for different formulas for different everyday stuff. Now, for those of us that don't really study medicine that much, you think that sounds a lot crazier than it really is because they're still using that now. Okay? You can type in your phone or you're taking your notes, HEK293. All right? Those are aborted kidney cells that they add to food for flavoring. HEK293. They add aborted, and then we know who's getting the abortions, 5-to-1. Black folks. Okay, so they feed niggas. Okay. But
what do they? I mean, what foods do they add it to?
Pepsi uses it a lot. Gerber uses it a lot.
Juice.
Campbell Soup uses it in everything. Now here's the problem. See, the question we should be asking is this. Here's the question that we should be asking, because corporations are in business for profit. They wouldn't put something in the food if it didn't benefit them somehow. So what we should be asking is, what part of us actually likes the aborted kidney cells? What part of you is a cannibal that makes you drink a naked drink and say, oh my God, this is awesome. Yo, these nakeds is crazy, baby. This is the 350 and it's the healthy. Let me get some more nakeds.
Hey, you know what? They also was putting it.
Because it's in naked.
They said they was putting it in the organic rice too.
Yeah, well, the whole organic thing. We gotta watch organic. Organic lulls us to sleep. When we see organic, which is an expensive price, it's healthy. No. Go to the supermarket. As soon as you see an organic, seedless anything, that should snap you out of it. Boop. Can't be organic and seedless, at least not the euphemistic way we look at organic, right? Because organic usually means natural and healthy. And it can't be natural if it don't come from a seed, because where was it created, right? But phytic acid, this is important. And this is why I have the DVDs in the back. The DVDs in the back goes into the difference between African physiology and European physiology. All right? Phytic acid is a big example of that. For Europeans, phytic acid is a toxin. Okay? Phytic acid that's in the skin of all your fruits, for Europeans, it stops them from having any mineral retention in their body. Because phytic acid leaches minerals out of the body, specifically iron. Okay? But why that's not a problem for black folks is because tyrosine and vitamin C neutralizes phytic acid. So if you have tyrosine production, i.e. you're yellow, black, or brown, phytic acid is not a problem. In fact, phytic acid becomes a nutrient at that point because it makes sure that the iron that you have in your blood doesn't get stuck in your skin, your tissues, and your organs, which becomes hemochromatosis, which is something that's rising in the black community right now. We don't have any iron in our blood, but we have it in our tissues because we don't have the phytic acid. We're no longer eating fruit. We're no longer eating fruit. It's in the skin of the fruit. We eat the fruit, we get the phytic acid. It makes sure that it chelates all of the excess iron. That's how your body has checks and balances. Your body has checks and balances for everything. You make sure you don't get too much copper by making sure you get the adequate amount of zinc. You see, everything has a check and a balance in the body. All right? So phytic acid is actually a nutrient for black folks. Not only that, phytic acid stops tumor development. That's the thing that's inside the fruit that stops the fibroids, ladies. That's why we got to eat the fruit. Okay? That's what stops tumor growth. All right? It's anti-cancer. All right? So phytic acid benefits black folks when it's in their diet. So you need to eat your whole fruit. All right? Don't let nobody think that they're smarter than Mother Nature. All right? Period. Sometimes we're reading too many damn books. Okay? We just got to look in nature and see what's going on.
So where did this new thing come from where they're saying take the skin off the fruit, don't eat the seeds? Is this a direct...
Too much reading.
Too much reading? And they get this from Europeans, correct?
Watch it. Now, alpha ketoglutarate acid, all right? That's the actual substance in the body that's going to help, that's going to actually chelate the phytic acid, the excess. It protects melanin, it creates ATP, which is how your cells breathe, and it also flushes nitrogen from your system. So again, because we're not getting this phytic acid, this is why a lot of us are on the dialysis machines. Because you need alpha ketoglutarate acid to flush the nitrogen from the body. You need it to break down the phytic acid and pull ammonia off your brain. All right? So the children with all those vaccines and they got the autism, there's too much ammonia on the brain. All right? So they need the fruit. What's in the fruit that takes the ammonia off the brain?
Phytic acid.
Oh my goodness, there's 3 people here?
And you got a question back there.
Oh, I got a question up here. What's in the fruit that takes the ammonia off the brain? Okay.
That's going up tonight.
Where's the question?
Is autism, does it make any difference whether it's Asperger's syndrome or not, or is it autism all come under that one spectrum?
Well, here's the thing. With a lot of these illnesses, they're just a set of symptoms. So usually I like to get to a personal thing with a person if I'm really trying to help them come out of a situation and figure out why they are where they're at. Because a lot of times with the children specifically, we haven't really, like even Europeans just start dealing with epigenetics maybe the last 15 years or so. But that's what we're dealing with. Well, it's vaccines, but autism been around long before vaccines. The vaccines just made it shoot up through the roof, the rate of which our children are coming out with autism. But autism been around before vaccines. A lot of us don't realize you cannot smoke weed, sniff coke, drink Pepsi, go to the club and drink 2-3 nights. I just drink on the weekend. You know, we go through these, you know, maybe from time we about 18, 19 to about 30 where we partying, rocking and rolling, steaks, Chinese, this, that, and the other. Boom. Then we get ready to have a baby, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm on a diet right now. You know, I'm about to get pregnant. Or I'm 2 weeks pregnant. You know, I don't smoke cigarettes. All that stuff is stored up in your body. All those toxins is in your body. Every toxin, every chemical, every drug my mama used or was exposed to in her life, she passed on to me. Here you go, baby. Every drug, toxin, chemical my dad was exposed to, he passed on to me. Here you go, baby. And we don't know how those things combine. Because it's one thing to know about fluorine, it's one thing to know about nitrogen, it's one thing to know about methane, but then what happens when methane combines with nitrogen? Boom! Right? So, we don't want to allow these folks that's into skinning things to have us skinning our fruits. Alright? We want to make sure we get the phytic acid that produces the alpha ketoglutarate acid that helps keep our body the way it needs to be. All right. Now, here's another thing. Phenylalanine. All right? I'm not even going to have y'all say that. Okay? Phenylalanine. This gets a bad rap. All right? Because when phenylalanine is combined with nitrogen or ammonia, it turns into aspartame. So when people talk about phenylalanine, they talk about it as if it itself is a toxin. All right? Because Europeans, who are at the forefront of most of this research that's circulating, they don't need phenylalanine in their diet. You know why? because on the 11th chromosome, their TYR gene doesn't work anyway. Phenylalanine is to produce tyrosine in your body. So since theirs doesn't work, it's just some excess thing in there anyway. And since they like to eat the meat, which is your main source of nitrogen and ammonia, it's combining inside your body and turning into aspartame, which we all know is a toxin. Right? Wrong?
Right.
Oh, all right now. We're going to keep y'all up. I don't care how hot we get it. Y'all don't got a tie on. All right? But phenylalanine is a natural antidepressant. All right? It destroys serotonin by creating light through the galactose pathways in the cells. All right? In Egypt, they taught those as the Heru pathways throughout the cell. So we might get to that too. There are different pathways in the cell. One is named after Seth, one is named after Heru. All right? Ours have been shut down, and we've been following Seth. We'll get to that. But fructose, lactose, phenylalanine intolerance is due to weak TYR genes and lack of healthy breast milk. All right? Ladies, I know we've been saying you got to start breastfeeding, but along with breastfeeding comes responsibility. All right? We are giving our babies toxic breastfeedings. All right? We loaded up on Chinese, and they're telling us, oh, ice cream is good. So the women just consuming gallons of goddamn ice cream throughout the pregnancy, and then you breastfeeding the baby. What are you giving them? Milk. There's no nutrients in it. It's mucus. It's not even mucus. Because there's a difference between mucus and sputum, if we want to be scientific about it. All right? Your mucous membrane is your inside layer of your body. All right? So mucus is natural. Your body naturally secretes mucus to trap toxins, bacteria, and poisons. When we hog spit out and we see that green, yellow stuff, that phlegm, that's scientifically called sputum. And 90% of that is white blood cells we're spitting out. So even if you just follow that, you're like, hold on. Why is it that every time I get sick, I'm spitting out white blood cells? What is my body trying to tell me? Like, okay, we're sick. We got to get rid of white blood cells. We're sick. We got to get rid of white blood cells. I need to feel better. I got to get rid of white blood cells. We just got to listen to nature sometimes. It talks. She talks. All right? Weed smoke. All right? I know that's unpopular. All right? I know people don't want to hear nothing bad about weed smoke, especially on Michigan. Right? I smelled a little, you know, there was a little essence outside the building. Pulled up. But weed smoke depletes the adrenal glands of minerals, especially the ones you need for tyrosine production. All right? So we got to realize there's a pattern to the things that's being marketed to us. Even the things that are marketed to us by black folks. Okay? Because in my neighborhood, my generation, weed smoke didn't go crazy until Redman came out with How to Roll a Blunt. He came out with the song How to Roll a Blunt, and that was it. Everybody was rolling a blunt. Even if you was putting fake oregano in it, you was rolling a blunt. Couldn't come outside without doing it. All right? And then I spoke to my mom about it. She was like, oh, yeah, he's copying off Cheech and Chong. So I started like, oh, wait a minute. So what do they do, a mass promotion to get high every 10 years? What is this shit going on in our what is this? Mass promotion to get high. Now everybody is pop the Molly, I'm sweating. What is Molly? What's ecstasy? 60% heroin. See? That's how I talk to the babies, the young cats on my block. Like, you're a dope head, nigga, stop it. You ain't strong, I still wash. I wash. You're a dope head. Don't think the old I still got it. You're a dope head. Nah, you use ecstasy, right? You're a dope head. You're a dope fiend. Just like the you're a dope fiend. See, when you tell them like that, then they're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't do that no more. Next time you see him, I don't do those no more. Still on the weed, but okay, we can work with that. All right, so.
You already know what we came here for.
All right, melanin synthesis.
I can smell the hate when we stepped in the door.
You ain't never seen a grind till I grind like this. Was fine wine to the refiners, to the savage like piss. I seen a lot of niggas fail, either dead or in jail. That came from where I came from, getting my mail. That hard rock from the block done turned into a mountain. Got an ocean out a fountain, and a nigga still counting. We love the hate and the gossip, you a witness, bitch. Please Instagram it. International business trips. I got a head full of schemes and a heart full of hunger, with a backpack full of dreams, and I'm only getting younger, no rush. Everything gotta be right, so we patient. So all the bullshit we go through serve as motivation.
You already know what we came here for. I can smell the hate when we stepped in the door. Stuffing my dreams inside my backpack. Roll to the riches, I'll start where that's at.